All right, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to save 14 as 15. So make sure you do a file save as. Please make sure you spell 15 correctly. FIFTEEN.html in your web design folder. So that way we have what we need. And then in your browser, yesterday I went through and did some Google searching tips for you when you wanted to search for images. That you need to find images that you want to use. But you'll also have to be aware of copyright. Just because an image is on the web doesn't necessarily mean that you can go ahead and use it. What we need to do is we need to find a copyright-free image. So how would we find that? Any idea? Okay, so I'm going to go to images. And if you actually typed in copyright-free images, it gives you a whole bunch of choices. Now, I'm not saying you have to love your copyright-free choice images, but what you need to realize is you do have options. And again, Google's new search, on the very top, I have vintage flowers computer copyright images. Is yours different than mine? And how are they basing it? Potentially off of past searches. But don't forget also, if you wanted to look for a certain color, you can go ahead and go to search tools, and then you can go to color, and you could pick a color. So if you wanted to have something that was orange, it would give me copyright-free images that have an orange color to it. If I wanted to choose pink, it would give me pink ones. I don't care. Find one that's copyright-free. Whatever color you like, it doesn't matter to me. Now, if I wanted to use this image, I'm going to choose this one, a brown fleur. How would I get this onto my web page? Any idea? What's the first thing I'd have to do? Save it. Okay? So I am going to actually view the image. So I'm going to this step to view the image, and then I'm going to, in Google Chrome, I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to save image as. Because I search for copyright-free images, I know this is okay. Now, when I go to save image as, what do I need to do? Don't hit save right away. We have to tell it where to put the image. And right now, when we're doing web design things, you need to realize the same place where you save your page, you have to save that image. They can't be in separate folders, otherwise your coding and everything that you need to do is going to be very difficult, and it just would be a complete pain. So please note, right now for HTML coding, wherever your page is saved, in that same folder, save this image. The other thing is take a look at the file name. My file name says img-thing. Do I have to keep it that? So I am actually going to call it download, just so I know that this is an example of download. But I need to, on the left-hand side, put it in my web design fall 2013 folder. Okay, and I'm going to call it download image. Okay, just so I know this is the image that I downloaded. Does it have to be that? No, but it makes it easier. Sometimes when you go to download something, it'll actually give you a bunch of random letters and numbers, and then it makes it much harder. So what we just did is I went through and actually right-clicked, saved my image, and put it in my folder. Did that put it on my page? Nope. Right here, you can see right in my Web Design Fall 2013, there is my image icon. So in my coding page, what I have to do on the very top, do you see this line right here that says Perfect Pictures? I have to put in an Ahref to that, where we link down on the page to a spot that we are going to call Pictures. And I need to end my A. Okay, so this line of text is what I just put in. Once you have this line of code where you have an Ahref where you're linking to Pound Pictures, we need to go to the end. The fastest way to go to the end is going to be Control and the word End on your keyboard. It'll take you down to the bottom. And after this HR, but right above body, I'm going to put in an H2. And then I have to do an A name. And I have to name this spot on the page. And we're going to name it Pictures. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to put in a line of code on the very bottom that puts that image that we downloaded on our page. Okay, so how we put an image on a page is we have to use a line of code called IMG, which stands for image, and then you do SRC, which stands for source, equals, and then in quotes, I'm putting the name of the image that I just downloaded. Mine is downloadimage.jpg. I know mine is a JPG file. Why? When I look here in my folder, here's the file name. Right here it gives me the type as TIFF. Some of you I saw were choosing animated graphics, which are going to be a .tif or a .gif. You have to know if you do not have the correct file type, it will not load. So I'm just going to put in IMG, SRC, and then my download image. There, I do not need to close my image tag, so I need to put my ending tag at the very end of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to open up 15 in my browser. And there is my image. Okay, I'm going to walk around. Now, yesterday I talked about images, especially JPG. Raise your hand if you have a JPG image. Okay, JPG images are the types of files that you get when you take a digital camera. They have millions of colors. They also have really large file sizes. How am I going to know the size file of my image? Well, if I look right here, my download image is 15 kilobytes. Look at yours. Okay, mine's 15. Anyone have one larger than 15? What do you got? What are some of your sizes? 104? 136? 45? 5,000. Okay. So we just jumped from kilobytes to megabytes. What does that mean for download time? That image is going to take a lot longer. Do you want people to get slowed down when you open pages? Do you see how looking here, it helps you to get your file name type? But it also shows you, it'll give you information about how long it's going to load. And you can actually go through, and there's a calculator that would tell you, based on their internet speed, all the things that has to be downloaded, how long it would take them to download. We also have software that we're going to learn later on. It's called Dreamweaver. It will actually calculate it for you. It would say this page would take this long to load based at this internet speed. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to play with these images and we're going to set them to different sizes. Okay. So we have our 15 open. Let's go ahead and do a file save as to 15. This may shock you. We're going to call it 16. 16.html. What we're going to do is we're going to go through and actually put in some additional lines of page of code that's going to go through and show us different ways of formatting my images. First thing I want you to do is please put an HR after your last image. I forgot to put that up there. So I put an HR after my image source download image. Okay, I have that highlighted on my screen in case you're wondering where I'm at. I'm at the very bottom. Right below my body tag, the very last line of code should be an HR or a horizontal rule. Okay, what I want you to do is between your image source and that HR, we're going to put in another image source, okay? And you are going to use your same image you just did. So mine is called download image, but we're going to go through and set how it's going to appear on our page. And I'm going to do image source, download image, and I'm going to say align equals right. Height equals 50. Width equals 50. Okay, so I went through, and basically it's the same line of code, but I added at the very end of it, align equals right, height equals 50, width equals 50. Now, what you need to think about when you do that is 50 is going to be what? 50 is font size. What is it? In relationship, pixels. Okay? So I'm saying I want my image to be 50 by 50. Now, is that going to change how some of your images appear? Okay. I think, Taylor, you have a GIF. This probably won't work for your GIF because it's animated. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up 16. Oh, I bet you I didn't save it. I'm like, mine did not appear. Save. Oh, I forgot my slash at the end. Thank you. I was just thinking about what you said. I do need to put a slash at the end for proper code. And then there it is. It's teeny tiny. Way over here. See it? Teeny tiny, way over there. Don't forget to open up 16. Don't refresh 15. $70. Common web design mistake, because some of you that have really big images, you're like, great, I just shrunk it 50 by 50, right? Because it's only that big now. Did that change the size of your image? The file size, it's still exactly the same. So even though you're saying, oh, it's only going to be this size on my page, it has nothing to do, it did not impact the actual file size of your image. in order to change your file size, you actually have to go into a graphic editing program and then modify it. Because you actually can take really large graphics and go ahead and shrink them down to the actual dimension that you want it to appear on the web page. And when you make it smaller, it would actually make your file size smaller. Anyone in here ever use Adobe Photoshop? Anyone in here ever heard of Adobe Photoshop? Do you know that there's an online version of it that's just as good? It's called Pixlr. It's on the Chrome Web Store. So for those of you that have used Adobe Photoshop, you're like, oh, I wish I could have that, but it's like several $100s for the software. In the Chrome Web Store, if you go to Pixlr, it'll give you pretty much exactly the same thing that you can do as Photoshop. And it's online. It means you can edit anything that's in your Drive account and go ahead and do what you want to with Photoshop. So that's a free photo editing tip. I was just showing somebody the web shot thing that we did before, where we captured a screenshot of a web page in order to get that into Google Drive. So we have taken an image, original size, and then over here, teeny tiny on the right is going to give me my small image size. Yours is not showing up. That is awful. And your image was not appearing. And we looked at it, and I said, did you miss a quote? Because oftentimes if you miss a quote on here, we'll throw some things off. She had a transposition error. What does that mean? Right here, she had SCR instead of SRC. And if your eye looks really quick, you see the letters, and you're like, oh, it's fine. But they're actually in flipped order, and it was kind of showing up but not really showing up. So sometimes you need to actually look backwards at what you're doing instead of reading it. You want to look backwards to make sure everything comes across correctly that way. Is it what I've been waiting for all day? Maybe. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, you bet. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're actually going to go through and add some more information here. And we're going to go through and set our image a little bit differently even again. You know what I forgot to do? I was supposed to put a P at the beginning and a P at the end. Some people did that. Good job for you, and I forgot. And what will that do? This P and this P, I forgot to put a beginning P and an ending P. Basically, when I do that, it's going to put it on its own line instead of being there. Okay, so I put a P in. I am now going to go in and do my image source download. I'm going to copy this one. Because I've already typed the code. All I need to do is I want to change my width. So I'm going to do image source download image JPG width equals 100. And now I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to change my width from 100 to 150. And then I'm going to change it to 200. So what is that going to give me? On one line going across my browser, I'm going to have an image at 100 width, 150 width, and 200, and they should be right next to each other. And that is still saved as 16. Okay? So you should have this. This first one's 100, 150, and then 200 for your width. Yep. Here. The main thing what we just did is it took us 3 lines of code. By not putting in P's, it put them right next to each other on the page. If I put P's in, P stands for a paragraph, and a paragraph automatically puts you down on the next line. So I wanted to make sure that all 3 of these images were going to be sitting next to each other, getting bigger by width. Okay? Have you ever seen images where you can tell that somebody went through and changed the size of it and they have like a squished head? Or they look shorter than they really should be because they just stretched them a funny way? Ever done that in Microsoft Word when you put an image in and not drag it by its corner and then people look wonky? You need to watch out for that also. Because if I went through and changed my width and my height so it's not proportional, so for example, if I change my width to 100 and my height to 900, would that change the dimension of the image? Change how it looks. So you need to be aware of that. Notice that we set our width to a certain size, then what did it do to the height? It didn't set it to the original, but it set it proportional, would you agree? So it knew how to come across so it wasn't going to be wonky shape. That's my technical term, where things just look funny. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through and actually set our height and our width, okay? So we're going to do 2 more lines of code. So after your width of 200, I'm going to put in a P. Really, I'm not forgetting. I really want to go down to the next line. And then I'm going to use my image source copy that I did before, and I'm going to set my height to 150 and my width to 150. And then I need to end my P. And then I'm going to take that line and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to repeat it, except I'm going to do it to 200. So my height and width will be 200. Save that still as 16. And here I have a height and width of 150, and here I have a height and width of 200. Okay? When you're done with that, just make sure that I can see it, and then you can